Hello Richmond, I'm Ruth Brown, and this is my husband coming along, John Ennis. We're coming to you from Bar Harbor, Maine, or as some people say, Bahaba. We're enjoying a delicious Allagash local beer. And we're going to go over week 3, June 2013 class. We've been focusing on 30s Charleston. And this week we reviewed a lot of stuff from the previous weeks, and we taught the kick-up in a couple different ways. So we'll talk about that. John's got some stuff to review from last week too.
Right, so we worked just on side by side, and then we reviewed the inside kicks, going to one hand here, bum. Then there needs to be this rotational stretch, bum, bum. We talked about getting back together, how important it is for the guy. So after this kick here, when we're getting ready to go kick, pulse, kick, step, I'm bringing Ruth towards me. I'm using also the connection point to bring myself towards her. So we have kick, pulse, kick, step, and that brings us back to the second half of the Charleston basic.
One thing, just thinking about, one thing that we've been really emphasizing in class is the stretch, that when we do our kicks, that there should be a nice stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Right here we don't have a whole lot of room, so we're keeping it a little bit tight, which you can do, like a way to if you're on the social dance floor and there's not a lot of space,
yeah,
you can still create the stretch by keeping your elbows in a little bit,
yeah.
And so there's less distance between you.
Yeah, I can do it here, but it's tight.
But you're still creating this nice dynamic stretch here. You're just keeping your elbows in a little closer to your body,
yeah,
and giving maybe a little bit more, kind of muscle tension.
Very good.
So that's a good thing to kind of work on if you want to be able to do this, but the dance floor is a little bit crowded.
Definitely. And also related to that, something that Ruth has been making a big deal about is the pulse in the middle, or the pull. Kick, pull, right in the middle. That we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That there's a middle beat there where we're pulsing, and if you watch, we have kick, pull. You see I pull my heel behind my foot, but I keep my good body posture. So I'll do it from the side here. So bum, shoot, kick, pulse, kick, step, kick, pull, kick, step. You see I have that pull, bum, shoot. Ooh, ah, ooh.
That pulse is what makes it possible to move, to pivot. You want, especially with Charleston especially, it's very energetic. You want your foot to be keeping time with the beat.
Yeah.
You want to feel it kind of every beat.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so that was good. Then we talked a little bit about the inside kick turns. Yeah, we were going to be able to do this. So we're going to actually move up because we'll do it this way. The inside kick turns. Doing inside kicks. Bum, bum. Now we can do the kick turns like this, down the line. And so we talked about that. Geographically, what happened there was that I took this hand and I led Ruth through, and I caught her with that same hand. Now, when Jordan and Ruth taught the previous week, they taught a similar move, but I just want to clarify that what I'm doing is slightly different from what they taught. They taught a big wind up here, so kick, pulse, and then go, which is fine. But it's a different move because they're winding up here and then releasing, and that you can do that, guys. That actually can lead to a lot of cool stuff.
There's variations.
Yeah, it's variation. But just be clear, what I'm doing on the move that I covered in class was I'm taking my left hand and I'm telling Ruth to continue to turn, and that leads us through this inside kick turn. So anyway, it's just interesting to think about the dynamics. If you get a big stretch here, then you can also lead the same movement with both the different hands. So that is really, I guess, a different move. And Jeremy asked that question. I wanted to clarify that yes, if you lead the move with a different hand, it's a different move. The reason I like to lead it with this is just a little more simple, because it's one extra connection point, and I'm able to really tell her to keep going. We're going to come back here. That's just interesting. If it gets here, and I want Ruth to keep going back the other way, I'm going to actually get a connection point again here and tell her to keep going. So you clear with that?
Hips.
Keep it. Oh, well, one last thing on that point is for followers. Once you're kind of set free, kick, step, until you're stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really all that matters for the ball.
Yeah. We practice kind of staying on the line, kind of respecting that line as we go. Kick, step, kick, step, kick, step.
Yeah.
That's true for both leaders and follows.
Yeah, if you're moving kick, step on the spot, then you might get into this kind of kicking repeatedly on one leg. Guys, we're probably going to do that more often than followers. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and we also, related to that, talked about going from inside kicks. Well, this is inside kicks. These are cross hand kicks. And doing that on either side. We also mentioned a little bit doing it with a mule kick. That would look like this. Kick, mule kick, bum, shoot, bum, bum. Very nice.
And we talked about for fellows, while the guys are messing around with their mule kicks and leading that, we told fellows to work on some kind of hand styling.
Yeah, and having their arms out away from their body.
The arms up. And so we talked about doing a little hand flip with
Oh,
each
yeah,
other, hand is
it.
up. So it looks like this.
Yeah, guys, we can do stuff too.
It just makes it like nice and dainty. It's a nice, easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So just turn the hand up.
We can do it too. I mean, I suppose it would. Don't have a reason to do it. It's kind of an unusual movement for a guy. But if there's a movement, someone trying to hit, bam, maybe you are trying to hit
It's
it.
a little bit like a kind of
Yeah.
Leon kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Whatever you want to do, guys. So okay. Yeah. I think that was it. Now let's have a kick-ups. Right. So, there was one last thing. Everyone in the class needs to get their hands away from their body a little bit more. When we're doing this, you can see my hands are out because they're counterbalancing me. If my arm is in here, unless I'm doing it specifically for some stylistic reason, it really doesn't make sense because it's too, it doesn't balance me. If I want my arm out, then I can balance the stretch. Bam. It's much, much nicer.
Yeah, I think a little bit like a kind of like your arms like a turnstile. I think it's kind of helpful to think about that you're kind of going back and forth, and your arms are kind of out away from your body instead of.
Yeah,
kind
but
of
the outside arm is really further out. I mean, that's one thing in cross-hand kicks here. That my inside arm is pretty close to my body, but my outside arm I'm stretching. So think about your outside arm and use it to balance your stretch. Okay, finally kick-ups.
Now kick-ups.
All right, so now what we're gonna do
Don't bother waiting for.
is the kick-ups. They were rock, step, kick, kick up, bum, bum, bam. So that's good. That was a move.
Yeah, so we practiced kind of going around the room, creating that out and in kind of a feeling.
So you can do repeated of these kick steps. Kick, step, kick, step, kick, step, kick. And then you can just go back to Charleston if you want to.
Yeah, that's a nice little move in and of itself.
Yeah.
Especially if you need to travel up the room, like if the floor is crowded where you are and you see an open spot on the floor leaders and you want to kind of navigate to that, that's a nice little way to kind of travel through the room and get to a nice open spot where there's air conditioning or
whatever. Yeah, definitely. Then we put the little the kick up on top. This is where we're going to kick and stay on one leg. So previously these were kick, step, but now we're going to have kick, pulse. If you like, big kick, but notice I still have my pulse. And then rock, step.
So it follows. The guys are really doing the kind of the big kick. We might do a slightly bigger kick because he'll create a bit of an up kind of a feeling, which kind of lifts us up. So we might do a little bit bigger kick, but we're not like competing with him for like.
No, please don't kick high, followers.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we kick between his legs. We need to make sure that we don't kick too high. That we don't kick with our knee. That would be very bad for him.
Yeah.
So we just need to make sure that we give a nice, kick between.
Yep, exactly. So it goes from low to high. You'll see this that we're here. So we're doing step with Charleston. Shoot, shoot. Now we're going to go from low to high. Shoot, shoot. That was good. All right. So from there, after it's over, we can just do rock, step, kick, double kick. Just go back to Charleston basic. We could do a move that I taught, which is just a simple rock, step, break. I want to break that down just slightly for leaders. What happens there is I accelerate my rock step to give extra energy so that we're going to have this break. So I'm going rock, step, break. So it depends on the situation. Maybe we're doing Charleston here. Bam, shoot, bam. And so what I'm doing there is I'm going rock, step, break. And all I'm thinking about is my own body here. The follower's just going to go along for the ride. Bum, 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 shoot, bum. And so we get this break.
Yeah, and I'm just like relaxed, and so when he adds that extra momentum, then I just feel that in my back and in my shoulder in our connection, and I just.
But I'm not trying to slam her around. Everything goes on here is just a function of me just getting as much energy in my counter body motion as I can. Boom, boom, bam. That's what I'm trying to get. And I always make the noise internally. It may sometimes that loud, but when I do this, I'm always thinking, bum bum bam.
He does it out loud sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's important. Noises help.
Noises are good. Yeah.
Okay, last thing we talked about was the breakaway turn out of the kick up. Oh, by the way, kick up is sometimes called the skip up, just so we have some. If you hear it called that, that's what it is. If you're in a workshop, somebody say do a skip up, they mean kick up. Or, well, they mean this move. So suppose we're doing a side by side Charleston. Bum, bum, here we go. Bum, bum. From here, we can take, there's a couple options, but what I'm going to do here now is just a 4-count step turn. So it's going to be step, hold, rock, step, kick, little kick.
Yeah, so follows we do the same thing. We do the big kick, and then we come around, step, hold, and then he leads us in the rocks.
Yep. So we worked with everyone on being in the position here of just leading that sort of movement with our arm. So what makes that happen is that we're here, we're kind of a little bit of compression, and now I start bringing it in, and then as I turn my own body, I release, and that causes her to turn. I think about the speed that I want Ruth to turn when I'm doing this, because we could do the same thing in 2 beats. I don't know how this is going to go because in the tight quarters, we'll see. Bum, bum, suppose we have bum, 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 bum. That turned out pretty well. You could do this in 2 beats, and that's where I have to think step, step, rock, step. I have to be thinking fast to do it in 2 beats. Generally, I think that the return on investment there is pretty low. That it's better to just do it mellow, unless you're desperately trying to get to someplace in the music or whatever, or it's a very slow song. It's usually better to just go ahead and be mellow and to do your kick up. Bum, bum, ha, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when you make that turn for the follower, think about the speed you want her to turn. Think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Really think about the turn, the rate of the turn. In your own head, think bum, bum, so that you give her that speed. Most of it, I'd say 80% of the lead is here. There is a compression.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
On the big kick, there's a compression. Actually, usually when I do this, I've got more of this like Lindy handhold. You could totally do this with ballroom handhold. Maybe it would even look better. It's just not something that I typically do. Bum, bum, you could do that. But whatever your handhold is, in my case, typically Lindy, here, we have compression now. So I'm pushing on Ruth, and so she's pushing back. We
have compression. I think we need to make the point that as we're doing the kind of out in, that's being led, that the leader is on the kind of kick away is opening up, giving a kind of a rotational, like room for the follow to kick out, and then he's folding her back in, and so that's what creates the da 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 kind of a feeling. So he's opening and closing her and bringing her in. And then at the same time, there's this nice compression, so the follow's fingers against the leader's palms is creating a nice compression, and that helps. So as we come in, so we go. So compress here.
Yeah. So compress, stretch, compress.
Yeah, and so we use that, and then there's so when we do the big kick, there's extra compression.
Yeah.
And that helps to give us energy to rotate
right.
around.
I would say that I use that to balance the follower, but I do not use that to lead the follower. The lead is on my arm, and then I just release the compression, but I'm not trying to lead this. So if we're bum, bum, I'm not trying to lead that. That would be very rough.
That would be rough.
I mean, I could if I wanted to do a move like that, I guess.
I mean, just the compression releases. You're not pushing. It's compression that then releases.
So I release it together with my arm.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then when we put it all together, it was the kick up with a breakaway with a little rock step break, which looked like this. Shoot, 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 ha, shoot, shoot, bum, bum, bat. So that's a little sequence, and I think that was good. I think everyone did really well. The benefit of that little sequence, just incidentally, is it goes 1, 2, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be it could be a nice way to hit the 7 in the music. Maybe you've done a couple things that are 8 counts, now you've got 2 8 counts left. That's a way to hit the end of the 8 counts.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's going well?
Yep, so come out to this next week. We have Ryan and Erica are going to be teaching for us while we continue our Maine and Beantown vacation, and so they're going to teach them outside kicks. So that will be awesome. So be sure to come out for that. And
Yep.
we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
No, 3 weeks.
July 11th for the slow dance series.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be slow dance. It'll be really good. Thanks for coming, everyone.